working in the fields. My family barely made ends meet, but my parents encouraged me to study, hoping for a better future. Deep down, I yearned to do something big, to achieve something that would make my family proud. However, my circumstances made me doubt if dreams were meant for people like us. Still, I clung to my hope, wondering if life had something greater in store. When I entered school, my hopes were high, but I struggled from the start. Mathematics and science were like foreign languages to me, and I often failed my exams. Villagers mocked me, saying, "He's wasting his time on studies, he'll end up working in the fields like everyone else." I was discouraged, and their words felt like heavy stones dragging me down. Yet, somewhere inside, I refused to accept that my life would end in failure. I knew I had to push on, but I didn't yet know how. In my village, people couldn't imagine a life beyond farming. They constantly advised me to focus on field work and give up studying. Some family members even echoed this advice, saying I was wasting our limited resources on something hopeless. It was tough to ignore the pressure. Yet I held on to a glimmer of hope, believing I was capable of more. I promised myself that I would find a way, no matter what others said, and make a better future for my family and me. Things began to change when a new teacher joined our village school. He noticed my struggles and offered to help me after school hours. Under his guidance, I began to see improvement in my studies. He taught me not only academic lessons but also the value of resilience. He told me, failures are stepping stones to success. Embrace them and learn. His words stayed with me and slowly gave me the courage to confront my fears. I was no longer afraid of failure, instead, I started to see it as a chance to grow. With my teacher's support, I finally passed a major exam, scoring higher than I ever thought possible. It was a small victory, but for me, it was life-changing. My parents were proud, and even some villagers who had doubted me praised my efforts. This success, though minor, was proof that my hard work was paying off. I felt more determined than ever to keep going and set my sights higher. It was as if a door had opened, inviting me to see the world beyond my village's narrow expectations. After completing high school, I faced a dilemma. To continue my studies, I needed to go to the city, but we had no money for it. My family simply couldn't afford the tuition and living expenses. I decided to take on part-time jobs, helping farmers and doing odd tasks in the village, saving every rupee I could. It was exhausting, and many nights I lay awake, wondering if all this sacrifice was worth it. But I kept reminding myself of the life I dreamed of, a life that could bring my family out of poverty. Moving to the city was a challenge in itself. The competition was fierce, and I felt lost. My classmates were more prepared, more confident, and seemed to breeze through subjects I struggled with. I failed multiple tests, which was crushing, given all that I'd sacrificed to get there. For a moment, I thought about giving up. But then, I remembered my teacher's words and my parents' dreams for me. I picked myself up, determined to give it another try, and spent every waking hour studying harder than ever. During my time in college, I met a friend who became a great support. He, too, came from a challenging background and understood the struggles of an outsider in the city. He would always remind me, failures are only final if we let them be. Don't let them define you. His friendship became my anchor, and together, we encouraged each other through the toughest times. His optimism was contagious, and with his help, I began to see failures as mere bumps on my journey, not dead end. The final exams in college were my biggest challenge yet. Everything I had worked for depended on this, and the pressure was immense. I feared failure more than anything, but instead of letting it paralyze me, I used it as fuel. I studied day and night, reminding myself of all the sacrifices I'd made to reach this point. On the day of the exams, I walked in with a calm determination, knowing I had given it my all. This time, I wasn't afraid of failing because I knew I would stand back up, no matter what. When the results were announced, I had passed with distinction. It was a dream come true. For the first time, I felt the weight of my struggles lifted, replaced by a sense of accomplishment I had never known. My family was overjoyed, and even the villagers who had once doubted me came to congratulate us. I learned a powerful lesson: success isn't the absence of failure, it's the courage to continue despite it. Today, I share my story to remind others that failure isn't the end, it's a part of the journey to success. Looking back, I realize my failures were my greatest teachers. They taught me resilience, patience, and self-belief. Today, I want others to know that if you are facing setbacks, don't fear them. Embrace them, learn from them, and use them to fuel your drive. Dreams aren't reserved for a select few, they belong to those who dare to rise above their circumstances.